All right, Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. As always, we'd like to first and foremost give all praise to the Most High, Yashaya, RaWach. And, it's a blessing today that we're going to be able to present this lesson on the tribe of Issachar. We're going to go into some information that I haven't really seen any of the camps bring out. And, it's imperative that we do this research, that we take it upon ourselves. Each one of us from our respective tribes, we should take the task of studying the history and connecting the dots and how the prophecies and the curses and everything applies to us in this present day. We know that there are brothers and sisters out there that would, seek to divide us, just based off of different doctrines and whatnot. They get persuaded. So today, we're presenting this lesson in the spirit of the Most High in Christ for the edification of our people, so that they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that those of us that are indigenous to these lands here, the land that once was Mexico, the part of it is now America and still Mexico, that we are the children of Issachar. So with that, we're going to put out our disclaimer here at the Children of AHAYAH's Promised Church. We teach it according to St. Matthew chapter 28 and verse 19. We teach and baptize all nations, and we're not going to sit in the Most High's seat. We're not going to separate the goats from the sheep nor the tares from the wheat. That's Christ's job to do when he comes back. So we're not going to tell anybody or turn anybody away just based upon their appearance. It doesn't matter what shade your skin is, no matter how dark, how light, we will teach you. So with that, we're going to get into this information. All right, so the first thing we're going to get into today, and you will need, you'll need your King James Bible, and you're going to need your Apocrypha. If you have the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, please get that. We're going to be going through that as well. We're going to be going through the Testament of Issachar. But the first thing we're going to get into is we're going to get into Genesis chapter 49 and verses 14 through 15. We all know this scripture, so we're just going to go over it again. We're going to get some understanding here.
Genesis what?
Chapter 49 and verse 15. And also too, Salakia, if you hear background noise, we got children playing in the background and whatnot, so bear with us today as we go through this information.
Genesis chapter 49 verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that
49 to 15.
49, 15.
Let's see here. Oh, Salakia, 14 through 15.
Oh, 14 through 15. Genesis chapter 49 verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens.
All right, so we know that our people from the tribe of Issachar are very strong people. And he was compared to a donkey. A donkey is used to carry burdens. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us have heard the way that different camps like to apply this scripture. They'll say that the two burdens, couching down between the two burdens, is that siesta that they take in between their labor. They have their lunch and they rest. They get the hour of sleep, they get that second wind, and they get back to it. But this burden also applies to the burden that our people face. They have one burden in Mexico, dealing with the cartels and whatnot that are hanging our people, cutting off their limbs, just murdering them. They have that burden that they're dealing with in Mexico, barely making it. And they cross the border, and now they have this burden here in America. Now they're called an illegal alien, which they're indigenous to this they're indigenous to this continent. They're called an illegal alien. They're hired for very base wages, below minimum wage, just struggling to make it. Those are the different burdens that our people face. Go ahead, let's get verse 15.
Verse 15. And he saw that rest was good,
mm-hmm.
and the land that it was pleasant.
All right, so we know that, if you're from Northern California all the way down to Bakersfield and whatnot, you understand how fertile this land is. We understand it's our people that are working the fields. It's our people that are out there in the hot sun, crouching down for hours, picking the strawberries, picking the lettuce. I mean, everything you can imagine. They're out there working. And this was our original land. This is the most fertile land. All the lettuce that gets grown in Salinas gets shipped out throughout the country. It gets, Salinas is down there in Monterey County. Lettuce gets shipped out to Europe, shipped out to France. You know what I'm saying? So we know that this land is very good. It is very pleasant. It is very fertile. And go ahead.
And bowed his shoulder to bear and become a servant unto tribute.
So we have become a servant unto tribute. Enemies came over here. We know according to the curses, the enemy came over here. Like it says in Deuteronomy, which we're going to go over those curses, that the enemy that is within thy gates shall rise up above thee. That has happened. We now bowed our shoulder unto tribute. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to get an understanding on one of the blessings that the Most High blessed the tribe of Issachar with. Just like he blessed Judah with the kingship, he blessed the Levites with the priesthood. We're now going to see what Issachar's blessing was, because the Most High blessed him with something too. And it's the primary hustle that the so-called Mexican man today has, who is in fact from the tribe of Issachar. So we're going to it's going to be in the Testament of Issachar. One moment, we get this for you out. Starting right here. And let me get on the same page with you all. We are in that's chapter 3. Alright, so we're going to be now in the Testament of Issachar. We're going to get chapter 3, and we're going to start off in verse 1.
When therefore I grew up, my children, I walked in uprightness of heart, and I became a husbandman for my father and my brethren.
So we have an understanding. We know that Issachar, he was the husbandman for his father and his brethren, meaning he tended to the field, he tended to the crops. That's what he was doing. Go ahead on.
And I brought in fruits from my field according to their season. And my father blessed me, for he saw that I walked in, that's why I broke up, rectitude for him. And I was not a busybody in my doings, nor envious and malicious against my neighbor.
All right, so we know our people, the Mexican people. They go out there, they work hard, they stick to their business. They're not a busybody, and they're not malicious against their neighbor. Even when they're here in their own land that they're indigenous to, getting called an illegal alien, a wetback, a spick. Even our own people, we call them mojados. I mean, get what I'm saying? Our people are not malicious against their neighbors. Go ahead.
I never slandered anyone, nor did I
censure
the life of any man, walking as I did in singleness of eye. Therefore, when I was 35 years old, was it I took? Is that I took?
Yeah, I took to myself.
I took to myself a wife from my labor, wore away my strength, and I never thought upon pleasure with women. But owing to my toil, sleep overcame me. And my father always rejoiced in my rectitude, because I offered through the priest to the Most High all first fruits, then to my father also.
So Issachar, he went out in the field, he did what he did, he got the first fruits, he brought it to his priest, and then he brought it to his father as well. After he gave the Most High his, he came and brought it to his father. Same thing our people do. They come over here, they cross the border, they go out and they work whatever job they can get. They get that money, they send it back to their family in Mexico. A lot of times they have the mother and father still living with them, because they honor, just like it says in the commandments to honor your mother and father. Our people still honor their mother and father by bringing them to the household and taking care of them. Go ahead, Aunt.
Brother, sister, bear with me. It's a bad copy. The words are all broke up.
It's a facsimile copy of an old book. So, this is what we're working with, though.
Was that 7?
Yeah.
And the Most High increased 10,000 his benefits in my hands.
So the Most High increased 10,000 the benefit. Remember, Issachar was out there working in the field. He was given the first fruits as a blessing. Go ahead.
And 10,000 his benefits in my hands. And also Jacob, my father, knew that AHAYAH abided
Aided.
or aided my singleness, for on all the poor and oppressed I bestowed the good things of the earth in singleness of my heart. You want to jump down?
And now let's jump down to let's see here. Yeah, now we're going down to chapter 5. And so if you have this text, follow along with this. And Salakia, for me not mentioning earlier before we got started that you could easily Google this and follow along with us. But we're in the Testament of Issachar. We are now in chapter 5. And we're going to get, matter of fact, we're going to get all of chapter 5. So go ahead on.
Keep therefore, my children, the law of AHAYAH, and get singleness, and walk in guilelessness. Walk in guilelessness, not playing the busybody with the business of your neighbor, but love the Most High and your neighbor. Have compassion on the poor and weak. Bow down your back unto, what's that? Husbandry.
So now we know our people have bowed down their back unto husbandry. We know that for a fact. Whether it's out there in the fields with the produce, or it's out there in the landscaping, cutting the lawns, planting everything that's needed when the other nations hire us to do those tasks. We understand and we know our people have bowed down their back unto husbandry. Go ahead on.
And toil and laborers and all manner of husbandry.
Just like I said, our people, they toil and labors in all manner of husbandry, whether it's something that you can eat or it's just something that looks nice, which is what the other nations hire us for. Go ahead on.
Offering gifts to the Most High with thanksgiving. For with the first fruit of the earth will the Most High bless you.
So with the first fruits of the earth, the Most High has blessed us with. That is our blessing. Just like Judah got the blessing of the kingship, the Levites got the blessing of the priesthood. Issachar's blessing is that first fruits. And we know that is the primary hustle of our people today. Whether they're out selling tamales, they're selling the ilotero, the guy with the corn, the paleta man selling the popsicles of the frozen fruit. Whether they're out there hustling, selling fruit in the fruit cups with the powdered chili on it. Everything that has to do with produce and vegetables and fruits, Most High has blessed that to Issachar, and that's why that's the primary hustle today that we as a people have. Same thing, the guy out there selling the oranges, selling the strawberries, everything. That's what the Most High blessed us with. Go ahead on.
Where am I?
You start at the top of verse 4.
For with the first fruits of the earth will the Most High bless you, even as he blessed all the saints from Abel, even unto now. For no other portion is given to you than of the fatness of the earth.
So nothing else has been given to us but the fatness of the earth. Go ahead up.
Whose fruits are raised by toil.
So the fruits are raised by our toil. Most High blessed us with that. So it's not a coincidence that it's our people out there working in the fields, getting all this vegetation to grow, getting it in the supermarkets. Meaning anything that has to do with it, even behind the scenes. You go to some of these restaurants, man, it doesn't matter whether it's Italian, Chinese food, Mexican food, American food. Who's in the back cooking? Our people.
They know where Cesar Chavez was out there doing.
Let's get verse 6.
Verse 6. For our father Jacob blessed me with blessings of the earth and of first fruits. And
so when Jacob gave each in Genesis 49, he gave everybody what would happen to them, and at the end times he prophesied unto them, and this was a blessing that was passed down to Issachar. One moment. Got an issue here with this. Let me see here. Salakia, one moment. We're gonna Alright, so Salakia brothers and sisters out there in YouTube that We'll be catching this later. We had some technical issues, but we are back. And for our brothers and sisters that are watching live, the water for having patience with us. So with that, we're going to get back into the Testament of Issachar. We are in chapter 5, and we're going to get verse 6.
Verse 6. For our father Jacob blessed me with blessings of the earth and the first fruits.
So we know that the Most High, through Jacob, blessed our tribe of Issachar with the first fruits of the earth. Go ahead.
And Levi and Judah were glorified by the Most High, even among the sons of Jacob. For the Most High gave them an inheritance, and to Levi he gave the priesthood, and to Judah the kingdom.
All right, so Issachar is letting his sons know. He's like saying, look, at the Most High blessed you with this. He blessed Judah with the kingdom. He blessed Levi with the priesthood, and now he's going to give them a commandment. Go ahead, Ak.
And do ye therefore obey them.
So we know when the kingdom was split, we know that during that time, some of the tribe of Issachar, they went into the southern kingdom, and they went and joined themselves unto David during that time of the split. Not all, but some. Go ahead, Ak.
And walk in the singleness of your father. For unto Gad hath it been given to destroy the troops that are coming upon Israel.
And so we know that one of the last tribes to be out there just fighting was the tribe of Gad. We know that for a fact. So these are prophecies that Issachar gave his sons. Now we're going to get into chapter 6. And we're going to get some understanding, because a lot of people like to say, well, only Judah was dispersed amongst the earth. We're going to see who else was dispersed. Go ahead, Ak.
Know ye therefore, my children, that in the last times your sons will forsake singleness.
All right, so we know that, and we're going to get into 2nd Ezra chapter 13. So we know that our people came to the Americas to keep the law. All right, and they did for a time. But now Issachar, he's letting them know, like, hey, in the last days, this is something that you're going to be doing. Go ahead, Ak.
Your sons will forsake singleness and will cleave unto insatiable desires.
And we know some of those insatiable desires was the human sacrifice that our people were doing. Go ahead, Ak.
And leaving guidelessness will draw near to malice, and forsaking the commandments of the Most High.
So, and we know that they had the commandments of the Most High, because we're gonna get into a book that's going to talk about how they had the first 5 books, how they had the Torah. We're going to read some of the writings that our people gave to their children as commandments, and we're going to see that they do in fact align with the teachings in the Torah. Go ahead, Ak.
They will cleave unto Beliar.
And we know our people cleaved unto Belial when they started going after these idols. Get verse 2 out.
Verse 2. And leaving husbandry, they will follow after their own wicked devices.
And we know our people do that. You know, our people, they come from Mexico. They come up here to work the fields and whatnot. And their children, they leave husbandry and they follow after their own wicked devices. And primarily one of the most wicked devices that we have amongst the tribe of Issachar is the gang violence that we have. We're going to get into that as we get into the curses. Go ahead, Ak. Let's get
and they shall be dispersed amongst the Gentiles, and shall desire their shall serve their enemies.
So now we just read Issachar telling his children, you will be dispersed amongst the Gentiles. You will be dispersed amongst the Gentiles. You got that understanding? So now let's get verse 3.
And do ye therefore give these commandments to your children, that if they sin, they may... Can't even see what that is.
They may the more.
What?
They may the more.
They may the more quickly return to the Most High.
So to our brothers and sisters out there, you coming across this video on YouTube for the first time, you've never heard of anything about Mexicans being the tribe of Issachar, which are the sons of Jacob, Israel, who are the chosen people of the earth. Now, here you have it, that if you sin, you may the more quickly return unto the Most High. Go ahead, I.
For he is merciful and will deliver them, even to bring them back into their land.
And we know the Most High's mercy. He gave us the sacrifice. He gave us Yashaya. And he will deliver us when Yashaya comes to crack that sky. He gave himself as a sacrifice to give us redemptions for our iniquity. He's going to deliver us, and eventually we will be back in our original homeland. So with that, brothers and sisters, we are now before we get into the curses, we're gonna get a few things. So we're gonna go over Quetzalcoatl a little bit, and we're gonna see that Quetzalcoatl had a lot in common. When the Aztecs called Quetzalcoatl, he had a lot in common with Christ, with Yashaya, and we're gonna go through these parallels. All right. So we're gonna show. Let's see here. One moment. We're gonna go to. We're gonna go to John chapter 19 and verse 33. We're gonna get 33 through 37, and then we're gonna show you some pictures of some Aztec paintings, and you tell me if that's not the pictures that we show you. If that's not what we're about to read, or that's, you get what I'm saying.
You said 33?
Yes, John 19 and 33.
John chapter 19 verse 33. But when they came to Yashaya and saw that he was dead already, they broke not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side. And forthwith came there out blood and water.
All right, so one moment now. Stay right there, brother. Hold that for me. Now we're going to see a picture of Quetzalcoatl with his side pierced. See that? That's Quetzalcoatl. See that spear in his side, brothers and sisters on Periscope? Now, for our brothers and sisters out there on YouTube, where we have it tied to 2 sticks and pierced on his side. All right. And now we're gonna show some more images here. Here go another image of Quetzalcoatl on a cross. All right. Get a good look at that. It's another image for brothers and sisters on YouTube. It's Quetzalcoatl. He's on the cross. Let's see here. There's another image. See that? He's on a cross. It's turned sideways, but he's on a cross. And y'all can pause this on YouTube when you view it, and you can look at these images for yourself, or you can simply do a Google search and Google Quetzalcoatl on a cross.
Did not notice that was a dark-skinned brother hanging on a cross.
Well, we're gonna show our people. I heard some people saying that so-called natives don't have beards. We're gonna show you right here. Here goes some Mexica brothers right there. You notice he has a beard. See how dark our people were? See y'all brothers on YouTube and sisters. See that brother with the beard? Alright. Let's see how many more images we want to show. I think that'll be good for now. Here's the color picture of one of the images we showed. He is on the cross. Notice he has a beard. Alright. So now we're going to go back to these scriptures. We left off at
35.
35. All right, we're in St. John chapter 19 and verse 35.
John 19 and 35. And he that saw it bear record, and his record is true. And he knoweth that he saith true, that ye might believe. For these things were done that the scriptures should be fulfilled. A bone of him shall not be broken. And again, another scripture saith, they shall look on him whom they pierced.
So we just got the picture of Quetzalcoatl being pierced on the side. So now we're going to go to, we're going to stay in St. John, but now we're going to get chapter 3 and verse 14. You got to understand and know that Quetzalcoatl, he was a feathered serpent. And that's what Quetzalcoatl means, feathered serpent. So now we're going to go to St. John chapter 3 and verse 14, and we're going to see why he was portrayed in this image as well unto the Mexica.
St. John chapter 3 verse 14. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up.
So they had this understanding, they knew. We're going to be going through another book that's going to show that when the Spaniards came over here to the Americas, they looked at the writings in Theo Moxley, the book that they had called the Divine Book, and you're going to see that they had this. This is how they knew this. Now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 6, and we're going to get verse 2 through 7. And we're going to get some understanding on why he was portrayed in this image.
Isaiah chapter 6 verse 2. Above it stood the seraphim. Each one has 6 wings. With twine and covered his face, and with twine he covered his feet, and with twine he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the post excuse me, and the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King and the Lord of hosts.
So we know, according to the scriptures, who gives forgiveness of sins, who can forgive us. We understand that these seraphims, which these angels, they didn't look like man when they appeared unto Isaiah here. We're going to understand and know, just like we showed the images of Quetzalcoatl, and Quetzal is a bird and Coatl is a snake. So he was the feathered serpent. We just read in John 3 and 14, just like Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so even now, so now must the Son of Man be lifted up as well. But we're going to get some understanding that one of these seraphims is in the same image as that flying feathered serpent. And we're going to see, because only one can forgive for sins. Go ahead on. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having live coal in his hands, which he had taken with the tongues from the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thy iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged.
So we know there's only one that can purge us from our iniquities. And he did it with his blood. So now we're going to go over some of the parallels of Quetzalcoatl, with whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whom we know as Yashaya, HaMashiach, our Messiah, our Savior. So I'm going to read this here. It says, the tradition of Quetzalcoatl originated in Central America near the time of Christ's crucifixion. Various written accounts established the following beliefs regarding Quetzalcoatl that were prevalent in Mesoamerica during the 16th century. Number 1, he was born of a virgin, and we understand, according to the scriptures, a virgin is just a young maiden. He was associated with a new star. We know in Saint Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that they saw the star, and the Magi came. He performed miracles. Of course, we have an understanding throughout the New Testament what Yashaya did. He taught the practice of baptism. We know that you must be baptized in order to have remission of sins and to be reborn. He was a symbol of death and resurrection. He sent disciples to preach his word. He prophesied of future events. He promised he would come a second time. All the things that Yashaya HaMashiach has promised unto us. Another thing, he was the creator of all things. We know in John chapter 1 verse 1 that, you know, Yashaya, he took the commandment from the Most High. He created all things. There wasn't a thing that wasn't created without him. His children will become lords and heirs of the earth. We understand and know what the promises are that were given unto us. We will be the lords and heirs of this earth when things are set in the correct manner. Taken all together, these beliefs clearly mirror the accounts of Yashaya, Hamashiach's birth, death, and ministry in Palestine that are recorded in the New Testament. So now with that, we're going to do some parallels here. One moment here, let me pull these up. So now we're going to look at some words, and we're going to look at a word in Hebrew. That's the name of one of their a pagan deity that was in that the Aztecs worshipped. And let me see here real quick, because there's something I want to point out on here. So as we can see, that word right there, titzamito, just by looking at it, all right, brothers and sisters, there, just by looking at it, it looks like some sort of Yiddish. All right. Now there's something I want to point out here. I'm gonna one moment here. I'm gonna point out. So, as you can see, that this thing was depicted, you know, like a skeleton. And you see that word, that word in the middle, itam. I want everybody to focus on that word. Brothers and sisters on YouTube, as you can see that word right there, itam. Which in the Hebrew, there's a word in Hebrew that, as we showed, it was a skeletal deity. We're now going to show you the word for bone in Hebrew. So if y'all have your Strong's Concordance, you can write this down. It's H6106. Once again, that's H6106. And let me get this highlighted for y'all. Alright, so I'm going to have to, one moment, brothers and sisters. Got this new tab that I'm trying to get familiar with. Alright. So we just showed you that was a skeletal figure. Now we're going to go into the Hebrew word for bone, which is H6106. And as we can see, if you're familiar with the Hebrew, that says itazam. Itazam. Which if you were to transliterate it, it sounds very, very familiar. Alright. Now, we look down at the definitions. It says bone, essence, bone. I'm going to show you this on here so you can see bone. So it's not a coincidence that this deity that was depicted as a skeleton in its name has the Hebrew word for bone. And, let's see here. Now we are going to go to, we're going to get some of these, let's see here. We're going to go through the curses, but now we're going to go through, let's see here. We're going to now go through how we got here into this land before we get into these other books. So we are going to go to, I'm sure everybody knows, 2nd Esdras in chapter 13. It's going to be in your Apocrypha. this on mine. All right. We're going to go to 2nd Esdras. We're going to get chapter 13, and we're going to get verses 40 through 46.
2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osei, the king whom Salmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So we know during the time under Salmaneser, during the time of our Assyrian captivity, we were removed out of our lands. It's in 1 Kings or 2 Kings chapter 17. You can go read about that on your own time. Go ahead,
41. But they took his counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
All right, so now we're going to get some understanding on what this country was that mankind never dwelt. So I'm going to go ahead and read this here. We're going to get some understanding on Arzareth. All right, so where is Arzareth? According to the Jewish encyclopedia, Arzareth is the name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses. According to 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 45, Columbus identified America with this land. Every map before the conquest of Columbus had no account of any land in the Western Hemisphere, proving that the Americas were not inhabited. However, there was knowledge of a further landmass. When Columbus discovered America, there were already people dwelling there, which he labeled as Indians. America and Arzareth were both known as the land where no man dwelt. This is why the term New World was placed on America. Also, do know that the continent was not called America until the late 1400s by the explorer and cartographer Amerigo Vespucci. This is why the term Arzareth is applied to the continent. Although the Native Americans, American and Mexican, are historically recorded to be the first living in the Americas prior to the European invasion and established great civilizations. They knew themselves that they were not originally from the land, but were strangers to it, seeking refuge and a new beginning. And here's a quote from the book Lost Tribes and Promised Land by Ronald Sanders on page 148, that the Aztec Emperor Montezuma was documented to say, "Long ago in our sacred writings, our ancestors informed us that neither I nor any of the other inhabitants of this land are indigenous to it, but are foreigners, come from a completely different place, and that our race was brought here by a lord whose vassals they all were." So now we're going to go back to the scriptures that we are in 2nd Esdras, and now we're going to get some understanding on let's see here, where's my we're going to now get some understanding on how they got here. Well, we know how they got here, but see here, let's get we left off at verse 42, right?
Yep. 42. That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. 43. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arzareth.
All right, so we just went over, according to the Jewish encyclopedia, what the land of Arzareth was, which is known as the Americas today. Let's get verse 46 on.
Verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the later time, and now when they shall begin to come.
All right, so we're good right there, the water. So now we're going to go back to verse 44. Can you read that for me again?
Verse 44. For the Most High then showed signs for them.
Right there, we're good. So the Most High, he gave the tribe of Issachar signs that they were to observe. The 10 tribes all left together, but Issachar had a certain skill that he was blessed with. So now we're going to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 12, and we're going to get verse 32, and we're going to see what type of skill they have. Also, if you have your book of Josephus, please grab that. We're going to go over that as well. Once again, that's 1 Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 32. And we're going to see how they were able to get these signs from the Most High. They were going to use the stars, the constellations, to navigate to get to this new land.
1 Chronicles 12 and 32.
Yeah.
And the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know that Israel ought to do, what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
So all the brethren were at the commandment of the Issacharites, and we had understanding of the times. So now we're going to go into the book of Josephus, and Josephus is going to expound on this a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and read this. So we are in Antiquities of the Jews, chapter 2. This is book 7, chapter 2, and we're at paragraph 2 down to number 57. It reads, "Those of the tribe of Ephraim were 20,800, and these mighty men of valor and eminent for their strength. Out of the half tribe of Manasseh came 18,000 of the most potent men. Out of the tribe of Issachar came 200 who foreknew what was to come hereafter." So now we're going to go down into the little footnotes that they have here in Josephus, and it's going to explain a little bit more. It says, "These words of Josephus concerning the tribe of Issachar, who foreknew what was to come hereafter, are best paraphrased by the parallel text in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32, which the brother just read, who had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. That is, who had so much knowledge in astronomy as to make calendars for the Israelites, that they might keep their festivals, plow, sow, and gather in their harvests and vintage in due season." So now we're going to get some images. We're going to get an image here of this calendar. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with it, but matter of fact, before we get the image of the calendar, we're just going to go over the Aztec New Year, because we know, according to the Enochian calendar, we know that the new year starts in spring. The first day of spring is the first day of the new year. So we're going to go ahead and read this. This is Aztec New Year. You can Google this, find it on Wikipedia. We're just going to read just a little bit, just to get a little understanding. This is the Aztec New Year. Is the celebration of the new year according to the Aztec calendar. The date on which the holidays fell in the Gregorian calendar depends on the version of the calendar used, but it is generally considered to occur at sunrise on March 12th. The holiday is observed in some RaWach communities in Mexico. So we have an understanding about the Aztec New Year. Now we're going to go over one of the calendars that we have, because we know, according to the book of Enoch, the Enochian calendar, there's 360 days in a year, and there's 4 intercalendary days, which are the first days of a new season. So we're going to now parallel that with this calendar. It is called Juipo Wali. Slakia, my Nawa language speaking skills aren't as great as some of my other brethren out there. Is the Aztec year. Juito and count is Bawayi. 1 year consists of 360 named days. In 5 nameless, these extra days are thought to be unlucky. So with that, we understand, some of the things will be corrupted as far as the information that we get. But we know, according to the book of Enoch, there's a 360-day calendar with 4 intercalendary days, and the Aztecs reckon, through their calendars, also 360 days, except in here it states that they had 5 days that weren't accounted for, that were considered unlucky. And with that, we are going to get, let's see here.
Is it 364?
Yeah. Let's see here real quick. Give me one moment. Get an image of a calendar here. We all know during the so-called 2012, you know, they were going into this Aztec Mayan calendar. And why is it, out of all calendars of the earth, all counts of the earth, why is it specifically that they were coming to this calendar? Well, we know according to the scriptures, our people were blessed with that gift. So we are going to show you an image of the calendar. You know, for our brethren out there, you know, I understand that we have a lot of pride, being that we are of the tribe of Issachar. But let's keep in mind, when I see our brothers still, you know, wearing a pendulum of this calendar, you got to understand that no, in the center of that calendar is a pagan deity. And this is why our people fell, was because of the idolatry that they had, the different rites and sacrifices that they made to these pagan deities. So keep in mind, you know, it's one thing to have pride in who we are, but had pride in being of the tribe of Issachar. And, you know, stop picking up the habits of our forefathers that constantly had to chase after idols. Let's not follow in those same footsteps today. So we all familiar with this calendar, but I'm just showing y'all an image. So this is the calendar we all know about, and that was a skill that the tribe of Issachar had. So with that, we are now gonna, let's see here. Now with that, we're going to go ahead and get into this other book I got here with me. And I recommend this book to everybody. I'm going to show y'all the title of it. And I'm going to go ahead and be reading for this portion. That's the title of the book. The 10 Tribes of Israel, Historically Identified with the Aborigines of the Western Hemispheres by Barbara Allen Simon. And for our brethren out there on YouTube, this is the book. It's available on Amazon for about $30. And also, if you go to Google Books, you can find a free PDF of it. But, you know, for myself, I like to have the actual physical copy. So with that, I'm going to read some things I have highlighted in here. It's going to be a while. This is going to be a portion of this lesson. But we're just going to read through it, and we're going to see the findings that the Spaniards had when they came to this new world and saw our people. So this is going to be on page 3, and I'm just going to run through these. You know, it's sectioned off so that when you download this book, if you purchase it for yourself, you can easily find these things. You can also send me an email. You can reach out to me on Facebook, and I will give you all the pages and whatnot. But for time's sake, I'm just going to read through all these and get these down, because after we get through this portion of this lesson, we are then going to go into the curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28, which we're all familiar with, but we're going to see how they apply to Issachar, to the Mexican man. So once again, the primary focus of this lesson is identifying Issachar as the Mexican people, as the Mexicatl, or as the Spaniards called them, Aztecs. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and read. So let's see here. It says, Las Casas was firmly persuaded that the Indians were descended from the Hebrews, is evident from his own words. And this is what they said. This is what they said about us. Of course, you know, they always have to demonize us. So let's see here. So Acosta and Torquemada said that the devil had actually counterfeited the history, laws, rites, ceremonies, and customs of the Jews in the New World, but he believed that the Hebrews had colonized America. So this is Las Casas' actual words. He says, in reference to the Mexicans and other Indian tribes whom he took to be real Hebrews. This is for our brothers, our Simeonite brothers. It says, Las Casas even goes so far as to say that the language of the island of St. Domingo was corrupt Hebrew. All right, now, like I said, I'm just going to be going through these. This is what Montezuma said to Cortez, where he declares that his ancestors are from the east. We know our ancestors are from the east. So it is very evident that everything in Mexico calculated to draw attention to the ancient history of the country, more especially if connected with religious recollections, was carefully removed from notice immediately after the conquest. Pieces of sculpture were mutilated or buried, paintings were burned, temples and edifices, which from their size it was impossible to destroy, were suffered to fall into oblivion, and magnificent monuments of ancient art. And now we're going to read about Sahagan, when engaged in the compilation of his history, after it had been taken away from him and again restored, received 3 cautions. So they gave this guy some warnings. They said, these are some things that you must not do. It says, first, to write nothing to prove that the Hebrews had colonized the New World. Secondly, to be guarded in what he said of the devils having imitated God and taken to himself a chosen people in the New World, and counterfeiting the rites and ceremonies of the Jews. Thirdly, not to advance the hypothesis that Christianity had ever been proclaimed to the Indians, or to treat too largely on the history of Quetzalcoatl. So they wanted to censor this information. Number one, the fact that our people had knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments, and the festivals. They wanted to say that the devil counterfeited of what the Most High had done and took it to himself a special people. And then they wanted to censor Quetzalcoatl. So let's see here. We're now going to go through some of these things here. It says, Garcia, in his famous treatise on the origin of the Indians, says in the 232nd page, introduction to the 3rd book, many have supposed, and the Spaniards generally who reside in the Indies believe, that the Indians proceed from the 10 tribes who were lost in the time of Salmanassar, a king of Assyria, whom Rabbi Shimon Sugati, who is named. So this rabbi, this Khazar, saw this. It was like, you know what? Knowing that they had the knowledge of the Torah, they made that parallel. This opinion is grounded on the disposition, nature, and customs of the Indians, which they found very similar to those of the Hebrews. Let me see here. In the 6th chapter, which is the most curious of all, he institutes a comparison between the Jewish moral and ceremonial laws and those of the Mexicans, and shows how nearly they agreed. In the 7th, he compares the Hebrew language with that of the Indian idioms, and in the 8th, he replies to some objections of Acosta. So now we are going to... it says, a curious parallel of Hebrews and Indians' moral law may be found in the 3rd book of Garcia's Origin of the Indians, which he has entitled Como los Indios guardaron los preceptos del Decálogo, which in English is How the Indians Obeyed the 10 Commandments in the Decalogue. Let's see, here we are now. Here we go. It says, the early Spanish writers believed that the Mexican and Peruvian government laws and commonwealth were modeled after the manner of Jews. They have not failed either to point out some curious traits of resemblance to Hebrew usages. I got a lot here, brothers and sisters, so bear with me. Says, without stating his reasons for dissenting from Las Casas, he assumes it is an undoubted fact that the devil had taken unto himself a chosen people in the New World, and counterfeited in them the history of the children of Israel and their pilgrimage from Egypt. So our people, they had the understanding, and they knew that they walked out of Egypt. Even over here in this new land, our people had that history. Let's see here. We have said before that these nations have books whereon they write. So our people had books. We weren't just some savages just running around in a jungle. We had books, we had knowledge, we retained records, everything that the Spaniards destroyed. Now we're gonna read some more. It says, I suppose them to be books, and that those characters and images signified some other things, seeing I have seen the like things in the obelisks and pillars at Rome, which were accounted letters, considering also that we read that the Chaldeans Chaldeans used to write after that same manner. Just going to skip some of this for time's sake, but brothers and sisters, I encourage y'all to get this book. Now we are going to get into, they had, I believe, 17 reasons why they concluded that the Indian tribes were of Hebrew descent. The first reason for concluding the Indian tribes to be of Hebrew descent is in their belief in the symbolical purification of water. The inhabitants of the Yucatan gave to water, with which they baptized their children, the title of the water of regenerations. The Indians of the Yucatan invoked him whom they believed to be the living and true power, whom they made no graven image. So they understand and knew they weren't to make any graven images when it came to the Most High. The second reason for believing that the religion of the Indians was Judaism, of course, they have to put down Judaism, but we know that it's not a religion. It's the law, statutes, and commandments that were given unto us. Is that they used circumcision. Third, that they expected a Messiah. The fourth, that many words connected with the celebration of their religious rites were obviously of Hebrew extraction. The fifth reason, that Las Casas, the bishop of Chiapa, who had the best means of verifying the fact, was of this opinion. The sixth, that the Jews themselves, including some of the most eminent rabbis, such as Manasseh ben Israel and Montesinos, maintained it both by verbal statement and in writing. Seventh, the dilemma in which most of the Spanish writers, such as Acosta and Torquemada, have placed their readers by leaving them no alternative than to come to the decision whether the Hebrews colonized America. And of course, they have to corrupt it by saying that the devil counterfeited what the Most High did, and that the devil took a people unto himself. We know, of course, they're always going to try to demonize our people. The eighth is the resemblance which many ceremonies and rites of the Indians bear to those of the Jews. The ninth is the similitude which existed between the Indian, Hebrew, and moral laws. The 10th is the knowledge which the Mexican and Peruvian traditions supplied that the Indians possessed history contained in the Pentateuch. So anybody that has an understanding, you know, the Septuagint, the first 5 books. The Septuagint is the Old Testament in Greek. The first 5 books, which we call the Torah in Greek, is called the Pentateuch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reread this part. It says, the 10th is the knowledge which the Mexican and Peruvian traditions supplied that the Indians possessed the history contained in the Pentateuch. The 11th is the Mexican tradition of Theomotzli, or divine book. The 12th is the famous migration from Aztlan. 13th, the traces of Jewish history, traditions, laws, customs, manners, which are found in the Mexican paintings. 14th, the frequency of sacrifice among the Indians and the religious consecration of the blood and fat of the victims. 15th, the style of the architecture of their temples. 16th, this is something that we were commanded to do, the fringes which the Mexicans wore fastened to their garments. The 17th reason, a similarity of the manners and customs of the Indian tribes far removed from the central monarchies of Mexico and Peru to those of the Jews. So even the tribes that were beyond, you know, like Tenochtitlan and all the great cities that they had, the big cities, outside of that, our people still were observing these customs and traditions. So with that, we're going to read something too. This is what the people said when they observed all the different tribes in all their different areas, from the West Indies, from the islands to South America, Central America to North America. It says, the people, men and women, although they are such a vast multitude of tribes or nations in such diverse climates, appear nevertheless like the children of one family, which is our nation of Israel. I'm going to skip a little bit here. Like I said, brothers and sisters, bear with me. You know, it's important that I go through all these things and get these parallels. It says, in the book called Theomotli, or the Divine Book, in which were represented in very plain figures the origin of the Indians, their dispersion after the confusion of tongues, their subsequent journeying, their first settlements upon the continent America. So in this divine book, they recorded everything, and they had an understanding, and they knew that people were dispersed after a confusion of tongues, which is something that we find in the book of Genesis at the fall of the Tower of Babel. So they had to have had these books to have this understanding. Let's see here. And they also kept a record of genealogy, and it reads, "This genealogy of nations reminds us as the ethnographical table of Moses, and it is so much the more remarkable as the Toltecs and Aztecs, among whom this tradition is found, consider themselves as belonging to a privileged race very different from the rest." It says, "The national vanity of the Mexicans must have been highly flattered at believing themselves to be the chosen people of God." Let's see here. Vanity.
Yeah, I call them like,
it's like vanity. All these people are vain.
I'm sitting here learning with y'all, brothers and sisters. Brother took the time to put this lesson together, and I'm taking it all in. And I have some insight, a little bit I want to put at the end, but right now I'm just taking it in.
I'm going to read this here. It's on page 43. This is talking about migration. It says, "And first, with respect to the famous migration of the Mexicans from Aztlan to the country of RaWach, which he says was like the journeying of the children of Israel from Egypt." Let me see here. Now we're going to read this here. It says, "He therefore commanded them to leave their country, promising he would make them princes and lords of the provinces." Let's see here. That he would give them a very abundant land with gold and silver, precious stones, feathers, etc. They accordingly set out. Let's see here. Informing them of the events of this journey, advising them of what was to happen, giving them laws and teaching them rites, ceremonies, causing the heaven to rain bread, and drawing from the rock of water to quench their thirst. The manna, when the Most High commanded Moses to break that rock and give them water. How did they have this? This is supposed to be the new world. Well, it was new to the Europeans, but the new world, it's not supposed to have any knowledge of anything contained in the Bible. But here are our people, the Mexica, having this knowledge. Is with other marvels resembling those which God wrought in the favor of the children of Israel. The first thing that they did, wheresoever they stopped, was to procure a habitation for their God. It says false God, but just like the children of Israel were commanded to set up a tabernacle, they did the same thing. Let's see here. We are going to get some more. Go. See, we're about to read this now. They did something too. It was like a bread offering, and we're all familiar with tamales. So we're about to read this. This is the procession and dance terminated at sunset, at which hour precisely they made an offering of tamales, a kind of bread offering which the Mexicans, like the Jews, presented at their temple, and which was only lawful for the priests to eat. Let's get through some of this for time's sake. Let me see here. See here. They had a title for their Most High God, and it was Ometecuitli. And in Nahua, it means Most High. Now, I mean, come on. We got so much in here. Let's see here. We're now going to read a little bit on Quetzalcoatl. It says, Quetzalcoatl, whom they believed to have partaken of the divine and human natures for the purpose of redeeming whatever had become the prey of transgression and death through the first introduction of evil, is precisely characterized as the Messiah of Moses and the prophets. It says, not only did the Mexicans believe in the incarnation of the eternal word and the redemption which should be the result of his obedience unto death as the second Adam, but they, like David, contemplated as a part of future history his burial and descent into Hades, fully entering in, as their paintings testify, into the meanings of these words. This is why they destroyed their paintings, because the paintings depicted all of these things. Into the meaning of these words, thou wilt not leave my soul in Hades, nor wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption. Again, they testify of his ascent to the Father and his receiving of gifts, precious and manifold, for his people, of whose redemption from the power of death and the grave. Let's see here. We got some more here. Let's see here. We're almost through this book, brothers and sisters. So here is, we're going to get a little bit on Tonacatecutli. It says, he was the father of Quetzalcoatl, just like Quetzalcoatl is, parallel with Yashaya. We know Yashaya has a father, and was named Ometecuhtli, which signifies the Most High. We just went over that a little bit. And now we're going to get, and all praise to the Most High that, this information was preserved. This was my first love, coming into the knowledge and understanding that I was an Israelite of the tribe of Issachar. And when I went through this book 3 years ago and got all this understanding, it was mind-blowing, it was life-changing, and it was such a blessing to know who I am according to the scriptures, and that the Most High chose us and set us apart as his royal priesthood, his chosen nation, and whatnot. So now we're going to go, let's see here. Just like Yashaya says in Revelations that he is the morning star. It says they call the morning star after Quetzalcoatl. They say he took this name on occasion of his disappearance. With respect to the appellation Meshi, like the Mexicato, the Mexica people, Meshi or Mazetli, the other name by which Quetzalcoatl was known among the Mexicans. And what we're about to read is very mind-blowing. It is very remarkable that it is precisely the same as the Hebrew word which signifies the anointed. All our brothers and sisters out there that know what Mashiach means, it means anointed. The Messiah in English goes back to the anointed one. Our people call themselves the Meshika, and it's parallel to this Hebrew word which means anointed. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence at all, brothers and sisters. You got to understand and know. You got people out there saying that the 10 lost tribes are still in Africa. We just read in the testament of Issachar that he told his children they would be dispersed amongst the Gentiles too. Here we are. We've just gone through all this information. Got a few more things to go through before we get and jump into Deuteronomy. But all this information, how did our people have that? They knew who they were. And that's why the Spaniards went to great lengths to destroy everything. And the records that they do have, guess where they're at? In the Vatican Library. We will never ever get to see. But it's alright. The Most High, he allowed enough information to be preserved. It says the Virgin was represented in the Indian paintings of whom the great prophet should be born, and that his own people would reject and meditate evil against him, and would put him to death. Accordingly, he is represented in the paintings with his hands and feet tied to the tree. Let's see here. Now, they had another name for Quetzalcoatl, and it was Bacab, and we're gonna read this here. It says Gasas was the chief of 20 men who commanded fasting and confession, affirming that Bacab had been put to death. Torquemada informs us that Quetzalcoatl had been in Yucatan and was there adored. And Yashaya said that he went unto he has other sheep that are not of his fold that he had to go to. It says the interpreter of the Vatican Codex in the following curious passage, that the Mexican had a tradition that he died upon the tree, and he adds, according to their belief, for the sins of mankind. So now we're going to get into, I'm going to read this here. We're gonna read this right here. Our people, they did a baptism. We can read about that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and 25. Matter of fact, I'm going to read that real quick. It's going to be in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36 and 25. It says, "Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you." Now I'm going to read what the Spaniards observed when a child was born. It says, "At the birth of a child, these words were addressed to the infant on bathing it in water. Receive this water. May this bath cleanse the spots which thou bearest from thy mother's womb. Purify thy heart, and yield thee a good and perfect life." Then, addressing a prayer to the deity, she demanded blessings for the child, and taking up the water again with her right hand, she breathed upon it, wetting the mouth, head, and breast of the child, saying, "May the invisible God descend upon this water, and cleanse thee from every stain of guilt and impurity, and redeem thee from evil." So it was symbolic in the understanding and knowledge of baptism. Now we're going to go... we're going to read something that's very, very similar to the book of Tobit in chapter 4, when Tobit is giving advice to his son Tobias. We're going to see just how this same advice that was given to a son from his father, how everything that we're about to read parallels with how one would instruct their child in the Torah. And I'm going to go ahead and read this. It says, "My son," said the father, "who art come into the light of this world from the womb of thy mother to endure its travail. We know not how long heaven will grant to us the enjoyment of that precious gem which we possess in thee. But however short the period, endeavor to live in obedience, praying to God continually to assist thee. He created thee, therefore his property thou art. He is thy father, and loves thee still more than I do. Repose in him all thy thoughts, and day and night direct thy sighs unto him." So that's like we're supposed to meditate in the book of the law. All our thoughts should be continually upon the Most High, and all the struggles and the trials and tribulations we go through, we sigh unto the Most High. This is what he commanded his son to do. It says, "Reverence and salute thine elders," something that we also did as a Hebrew custom. "Hold no one in contempt. To the poor and distressed be not dumb, but use words of comfort. Honor thy parents, to whom thou owest obedience, respect, and service." Same thing the commandments tell us, to honor our mother and father. We owe them respect, and when their time is coming, as they're aging, we are to do them service. We are to take care of them as they took care of us. "Guard against imitating the example of the wicked ones, who like brutes, deprived of reason, neither reverence their parents." So we understand, no, these wicked people out here, they don't respect or reverence their parents. "Listen to their instruction." It says, "Listen to their instruction, nor submit to their correction. Whosoever follows their steps will have an unhappy end." So if you are like these wicked people, you're going to have an unhappy end. It says, "Scorn not him you see fall into some transgression or folly, but beware lest thou fall into the same error which offends thee and another." So the same thing. You know, when we see our brothers and sisters fall into transgression, we correct them out of love to pick them up. And you know, we don't just point the finger, because you might fall in that same transgression as well. It says, "Go not where thou art not called, nor interfere in that which does not concern thee." Same things that we read in Proverbs, same things we read in the book of RaWach. Don't be a busybody. "Endeavor to manifest thy good breeding in all thy words and actions. In conversations, do not lay thy hands upon another, nor speak too much, nor interrupt or disturb another's discourse." So in conversations, we're not supposed to, just like the scriptures tell us to. And not only that, it tells us in the book of RaWach not to interrupt the man in the midst of his speech. Same thing, nor speak too much, nor interrupt or disturb another's discourse. "If thou hearest anyone talk foolishly, and it is not thy province to correct him, keep silent." So that's something that we must do. This is a foolish man is accounted wise if he keeps his mouth shut. The same thing. We don't answer someone according to their folly. They want to be foolish. It has nothing to do with us, or we're not in the position to correct them. Keep silence. "But if it does concern thee, consider first what thou art to say, and do not speak arrogantly." A problem that we have amongst the Israelite community. Speaking arrogantly. Why? Because that thy correction may be well received. So this is something that the scriptures command us as well. Don't speak arrogantly, because the correction won't be received. It's the same thing that the Aztecs commanded to their children. It says, "When anyone discourses with thee, hear him attentively, maintaining an easy attitude, neither playing with thy feet, nor putting thy hand to thy mouth, nor spitting, nor looking here or there, nor rising up frequently, if thou art sitting. For such actions are indicative of levity and low breeding. So when someone's speaking to us, we give them the proper respect, and we give them our undivided attention. When thou art at a table, do not eat as if thou wert hungry. Same thing Paul talks about when the people come together. It says, nor show displeasure if anything displeases thee. So, whatever set before you eat. If anyone comes unexpectedly to dine with thee, share with him what thou hast. And when anyone is entertained by thee, do not fix thy looks upon them. Never take precedence of thy elders unless they require you to do so. When thou art at a table with them, do not eat or drink until thou hast attended to them in a becoming manner. So when we're dealing with our elderly brothers and sisters, our parents first, we attend unto them. We make sure they have everything they need before we sit down and eat. If thou becomest rich, beware of becoming insolent and of overlooking the claims of the poor. For the God who denies riches to them, offended by the abuse of his gifts, may make them thy scourge. Support thyself by thine own exertions, that thy food and thy sleep may be the sweeter. I, my son, have supported thee by the sweat of my brow, and have omitted no duty of a father. I have provided thee with everything necessary, without taking it from others. Do thou likewise. And I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but for time's sake, we're not going to read all of it that's contained in there. Now, brothers and sisters, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, and we're going to see how these curses, now that we know who we are, showed you all the parallels between the Meshika, in the books that they contain, all the rites and ceremonies and whatnot, the parallels of Quetzalcoatl to Yashaya, whom the world calls Christ ignorantly. Now, we're going to go through these precepts here and get an understanding. So, let's see here. We're going to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15, and we're going to skip through some of these, so follow along with this. We're not going to go through the entire chapter, but we're going to get what applies to our tribe of Issachar, which is the emphasis and focus of this lesson today. So we're in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15.
Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All right, so we're about to read these curses because we didn't want to listen to our Father. He's going to allow these things to happen. Some people might ask, well, why would he allow the Spaniards to come and do what they did to us? Because we didn't keep his commandments. We went off, started sacrificing people. Go ahead, let's get verse 16.
Sacrificing people to Satan.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, they'd go to war to capture the people, to sacrifice. Not kill them on the battlefield, but, I'm going to capture you. I'm going to take you up here and cut out your heart. Straight wickedness.
16?
Yeah.
16. Cursed shall thy be in the city.
And cursed in the city. Go ahead.
And cursed shall thy be in the field.
And one of those curses that we can see through this is the gang violence that we have from the big cities to the little small cities that we have all throughout California, in Arizona and other states. It's there. It's a curse. We're killing each other over something that started a long time ago, that the people today living have nothing to do with. But they see something, they want to be a part of something, they think it's okay to go ahead and kill their brother because they're from this part of this state or from this county or from this side of town. Willie Lynch is in full effect still amongst the tribe of Issachar. Let's get 17.
And you're cursed in the field without no doubt. Y'all do all the work, as the brother was saying earlier, but own nothing. None of it.
None of it.
17. Cursed shall thy basket and thy store.
And our basket and our store is cursed. As soon as we get, like it says, and I believe in Habakkuk, it's like we put our money into a pocket with holes. We put it into a basket with holes. As soon as we get it, we got to pay everything and we have nothing left. Just enough to make it, and all praise to the Most High. Like he said, he will never have his sons begging bread as long as we're obedient unto him. Let's get verse 19.
19. Skipping 18.
Yeah.
19. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out.
And that's something that we can see. You know, if you're part of you live in a populous inner city, we see our brothers killing each other because, you know, even when they just have to go to school, they have to walk through a certain neighborhood, and you might have to walk through this neighborhood to get to your school, and you got to take your chances walking out of that neighborhood to get to school and walking back through that neighborhood again to get to your neighborhood. That's a curse going in and going out. And that's something that our Judite brothers understand very well, just like we pretty much the curses that Judah and Issachar has faced are pretty much the same. That's why we like a lot of the same things. We like oldies, we like lowriders. You have, you know, gangbanging with the same colors. I mean, there's a lot of things that are very, very similar between Issachar and Judah.
Here's one of the coldest curses. Issachar got to go out and worry about coming out and going in, not just fighting with himself, but fighting with Judah, and then fighting with Edom as the police. The same thing that Judah has to go through, fighting with Issachar, as well as fighting with Judah and the police. Same thing.
And then when Issachar gets in prison, guess what? You got to look at your own people now. What side you going to be on? Where you from? Man. And then another cold thing is that they have a lot of what they call border brothers in Mexico, which is a separate gang from the north and south, and they fighting with the north and the south. That's a double curse. I mean, we just killing each other for no reason. It's crazy, man. But these curses are prevalent. They exist amongst our community, and some of us, unfortunately, we know them all too well. Let's get verse 25.
Verse 25. The Most High shall curse thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed unto all the kingdoms of the earth.
It's the same thing. We were smitten by our enemies. When the Spaniards came over, they got with the other little smaller tribes outside of, you know, Aztec territory, and they came in, and with those tribes took us out. We were smitten before our enemies, and we ran in every which way we could. And for our brothers that were in the islands, they had it worse. For the Burincata India, the Tainos, they had it worse. They were almost obliterated to nothing. Some of the extinction that took, some of the islands almost faced extinction level events as far as the Spaniards coming in and trying to kill everybody. But they went over there, they practiced those things, and then they came onto the mainland and did it unto us. We're going to get verse 26.
Shall be moved to all the kingdoms of the earth. That can't just be Judah then.
No.
So how are they going to still be only in Africa?
Not only that, but you know, for people out there that want to fight this 12 tribes chart thing, you know, this is just basic common sense. The Most High said He's going to scatter us into all 4 corners of the earth. So where are we at today? Primarily, who's waking up and where are they at? They're within North, Central, and South America and the islands. So, of course, based upon our geographical locations, the chart that we're going to pass out and hand to people is going to be of those geographical locations. The chances are that I'm going to run into somebody from these lands here where I'm at. Now, I wouldn't take that same chart and now go to Russia and try to wake people up with a chart that's reflecting the Americas. So understand and know, we only use this chart as a reference point. It's just a reference point, that's it. Just because someone says, I'm from Mexico, I was born in Mexico, I'm Mexican, am I Israelite? And he has blonde hair and blue eyes because he's been fathered by Spaniards. That doesn't make him an Israelite. Unless somewhere deep down in his genealogy that I can't depict on the surface, he does have an Israelite for a father. So we know that just because someone comes from this land doesn't automatically make them an Israelite. It applies to the indigenous peoples that suffered the curses that we are going through right now. Those who are the Israelites. Those dealing with these things today, right now. Because we're going to read, the Most High, He gave us a sign. Just like you go, you see the double arches, you know that's McDonald's. You see the Colonel over there, you know that's KFC. Most High gave us a sign so that when the other people see this, as they examine our book, they know who we are. And as we wake up and we look in the book and see these things applying to us, that's the sign.
Here's my question. who's going to be spread to the four corners of the earth? Judah, as in one tribe, or all Israel, Jacob, all 12 of his children? Okay, so if that's the case, if all 12 of the tribes are going to be spread to the four corners of the earth, these brothers out here who's trying to cause division, saying that Israel is, the rest of Israel is still in Africa, then you calling the Most High a liar.
Or saying that all Israel is black. Most High said we have confusion of faces in the end times. And that's what we're dealing with. You know,
You calling the Most High a liar.
exactly. You know, and this is the thing. The primary reason for this lesson is to address the people from my tribe that want more information and understanding. However, is it something that you can use with this evidence to rebut those brothers? Most definitely. But to those brothers out there that's on that whole trip, I don't even care about that. Why? Because we just went through this information. The Most High has shown me. That's all I need. I don't need you to believe that. I just need to know. Because I'm looking for acceptance from the Most High, not you. And for our brothers out there that see these documentaries like White It Out 4, and they got these brothers coming through arguing all this and that, just pay attention. The Most High said, keep my commandments. Have the faith of Christ. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's it. So when these brothers out here trying to cause division and tear down, who likes to cause division? Just keep that in mind. Now, if a brother's really stuck in that belief system and he's coming to you in humility and says, well, you know what? This is what I've been taught. Will you show me different? Can you show me so that I can accept my other brothers if they just so happen to be my brothers as well? All praise to the Most High. You sit down with them, you show them these precepts. You know, if you can get these books and take the time, sit them down and show them in humility. Let's not boast against each other. We know the scriptures say Judah's going to vex Ephraim, being from the northern kingdom, Ephraim being the head tribe of that kingdom. It says Judah's going to vex Ephraim, so Judah's also going to vex all the tribes that fall under there, including the tribe of Issachar.
Well, it's like crabs in the bucket. We're always trying to tear each other down. Black folks, we always tearing each other down. That's what Judah does. They see one brother excelling, doing better. You want to try to tear him down, bring him down. You see us trying to enlighten our people, make them realize who they are, share the truth with them. You want to tear them down and tell them, nah, you an Egyptian, or you this, or you that. I mean,
Man.
It's nothing to enlighten. You don't never want to build our people up. We steady try to tear our people down, no matter what. So if we do it to ourselves, imagine what we're going to do to the other tribes. You don't want to see them. I mean, unless it's eat them. You're going to do what the master say. Yes, master, I'm going to do exactly what you say. And that's sad to say, because I can be sharing stuff with my people, and they never want to hear what the truth is until they hear Edom say it on TV. Like, oh, did you hear what just said? Yeah, I told you this 5-10 years ago. But now you believe because you heard him say it. So this is, for me, I'm not shocked by it. I mean, I'm used to brothers doing this to each other, and that's what we will do. We kill each other, tear each other down. I mean, how you think we end up in captivity? We tore each other down. We destroyed our own people. Look at us now. But you're going to find those few and the brothers out there who are doing what they're supposed to, now trying to build our people up, trying to get us out of this condition that we're in. And those who are with it, more power to you, brother. Those who aren't, keep doing what you're doing. Like these musicians out there. Got these females, shake your butt, sell yourself, show more cleavage, show more of this. I was hearing something about, they had Snoop mad because they made a new rule.
Yeah.
Hold up, bro.
He's got a career on objectifying women, and
yeah, I mean, look what you're doing to our people, and you mad because you don't want them to see the truth.
Think about this. Yeah, that one song on his album, Doggy Style, Ain't No Fun If the Homies Can't Have None. How many people, how many youngsters, back when I was young, listening to that song, how many of us heard that song and thought this was the thing to do and objectified and degraded the women of our nation because we were looking up to people like Snoop Dogg based off the message that was in the music? He's been destroying our people. There's a picture of that came across on Facebook where he has leashes on some black women.
Mm-hmm. But you mad because now you can see what the enemy was doing to us, and it's time to break those chains and come up out of oppression instead of hearing about you talking about your rims on your car and the bank and all the bank you got and I did this and smoking and get yourself high and you just bringing our people down. Look at Roots. I promote it. Look at Roots. You don't have to like it. I want it to hurt. Look at it. It's supposed to hurt. And it's supposed to wake you up. Because there also is a bunch of hidden messages in there that they're telling you that you are Jew. They're telling you that you are Israel. Look at it. It's in there.
It's in there. And that's the thing. It is in there, man. It's seen a lot of people sharing those things. But, you know, when it comes to movies like 12 Years a Slave, all those things, you're supposed to go watch these things and reflect on what your ancestors went through. And know that what we deal with day to day, all the entertainment, all the stuff that they give us, is to keep our mind distanced from them. To get us to believe that we can live like them so we can deny our Father. But we're supposed to look at those things and say, okay, you know what the curses apply? This happened to my great-great-great-great-grandfather. I'm blessed that he actually lived for his seed to be passed on, for me to be alive today. But now we want to go out, get high, kill each other, destroy our neighborhoods, bringing in the dope that the white man sells to us.
I guess that spirit have to show you things. Because I can look at Issachar or look at Gad without any doubt in my mind. And know that's Israel. The same way, if you see how they live on the res or over in LA or Mexico, you will know that you are the same people. And you're going to the exact same curses. No doubt.
They still hanging. Issachar's still getting hung, man. I'm sure everybody's seen that picture of the cartels hanging people, hanging from a bridge. All these things still happen. You see the pictures of, they had a picture of arms, legs, torsos, heads all lined up. They're burning these people, burning them alive. I mean, and then this is the thing, they always say, well, you know, you Mexicans, you have a country. Who runs that country? The Spaniards, just like the same British colonials, run this country.
That's like saying African Americans have a country.
Man.
Yeah. They tell Mexicans go back home, but it's rare now that you hear go back to Africa because they figure, oh, you here. But this ain't our country. This ain't our country. We're just here. We've never been set free.
All right, let's get verse 26.
Verse 26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air.
Stop right there. Now we're going to read something that was recorded. It said all fowls of the air. We're about to read this. This is in American Holocaust. Brothers and sisters, I pray y'all each get a copy of this and go out, you know, read it, get some understanding. There's a lot of things in here. You know, when I read this book, it's very grievous to me. I'm learning what happened to my ancestors. And it shows you just how precious your life is that you are alive today. Because the Most High, you always saved the remnant of his people to wake up at the latter times and be blessed that you are part of that remnant. So now the brother just read that and thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air. I'm about to read this. All right, this is in American Holocaust, page 82. And it's down to, let me see here. It's in the second paragraph. It reads, the Spanish had a saying, recalled Alonso de Zorita, that it was easy to find one's way from province to province, because the paths were marked with the bones of the dead. There are certain birds, he added, that when an Indian falls, pick out his eyes and kill and eat him. It is well known that these birds appear whenever the Spaniards make an incursion or discover a mine. So Most High just read that our carcass will be food for the fowls of the earth, fowls of the air. Go ahead on.
And unto the beast of the earth.
Now, unto the beast of the earth. Now we're going to read something that happened as well. This is in the next page, page 83. It says, one favorite sport of the conquistadors was dogging, traveling as they did with packs of armored wolfhounds and mastiffs that were raised on a diet of human flesh and were trained to disembowel Indians. The Spanish used the dogs to terrorize slaves, and entertain the troops. I'm going to read some more down here at the bottom of page 83. It reads, just as the Spanish soldiers seem to have particularly enjoyed testing the sharpness of their yard-long rapier blades on the bodies of Indian children, so their dogs seem to find the soft bodies of infants especially tasty, and thus the accounts of the invading conquistadors and the padres who traveled with them are filled with detailed descriptions of young Indian children routinely taken from their parents and fed to the hungry animals. Just like we just read, that our carcass will be meat unto the fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth. It's a true statement. And here's another thing I'm going to read now. It says, by the time the 16th century had ended, perhaps 200,000 Spaniards had moved their lives to the Indies, to Mexico, to Central America, and points further to the south. In contrast, by that time, somewhere between 60 million and 80 million natives from those lands were dead. Even then, the carnage was not over. So 60 to 80 million of our people were murdered at the hands of our enemies because of our disobedience. That's a high number of people to be removed from this earth. So, you need to give all praise to the Most High for Him allowing you to survive through that, and that your father's lineage was preserved. So now we're gonna let's finish off 26.
And no man shall fray them away.
And they didn't. They just took the children. Let me go feed my dog real quick. Let's get verse 30 or 28.
28. The Most High shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
So what scripture says, surely oppression will make a wise man mad. We become mad. We've been struck with blindness. We can't see the truth. And astonishment of heart. A lot of our people deal with not even wanting to be alive because of what we have to deal with. Let's go to verse 30.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
So our people dealt with this. You'd have a woman that would be your wife, and another man would take her and lie down with her. It's in this book. I didn't particularly get this one note, but some of the things that the Spaniards would do is that they would put the Indian man under the bed while they raped his wife on top of the bed. Now imagine that. And there's nothing you can do about it. These are the curses that we faced. Go ahead.
Not in just that way. I seen some other brothers in another camp point out it where it parallels today. You're expecting to marry some woman, yet and still you're not knowing your woman that you're supposed to betroth as a wife is really a whore, and she out there sleeping with everybody else.
It's another way. Yep, most definitely. That's a sad thing. We got high levels of promiscuity amongst our people. But it's because of people like Snoop Dogg that make songs that ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Verse 30, thou shalt build an house.
Verse 30, thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
So, who is predominantly in the construction industry today? Issachar. Building houses they're not going to live in. Is it not any more clear?
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof.
So we out there in the fields planting. We gather the grapes to put them in the crate,
They ain't
to
yours.
put them on the truck, so that the white man can take it. We don't gather it for ourselves. It's not for us. Although Most High blessed us with this land, this fertile land, we don't get to reap the benefits from it because of the curses. But we still work in it. We're still bowing our back under husbandry, as we just read in the testament of Issachar. Let's get verse 32.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
And our sons and daughters were given unto another people. What they would do is they separate the child from the parents. In these missions, they take that child, whatever day it was for their little Catholic calendar, whatever day it was for that saint, they named them that and gave them the last name of their slave master. And so our sons and daughters were given unto another people. Go ahead. And thine eyes.
And thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thy hand.
No might in our hand to go and get our children. We've all tribes have dealt with these curses. We faced the slavery too under the Spaniards. the northern kingdom has faced a slavery before they brought Judah over here. And not only that, they brought Judah over here because they nearly exterminated us. We've been in captivity a little bit longer, while we a lot lighter. Let's get verse 33 on.
Verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
And that's what they do. The fruit of this land that we are on. Another nation came over. Go ahead, Art.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away.
We're only oppressed and crushed always, no matter what, no matter where we go. Let's get verse 36.
Verse 36. The Most High shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, into a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. I catch that. So was it thou shalt bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, into a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. When I look at that, I can look at it two ways. It was being known that the king of Israel, which is Judah, is going to be in the same place with the other nation, the other tribes. Thou and thy king, which thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods of wood and stone.
Wood and stone, your wooden cross, your stone Mary statues. I'm not going to bring up Islam because this lesson is for the tribe of Issachar. But what's the most prominent religion in Mexico, and a religion that is followed here closely by Mexicans? Catholicism, with all their idols of all their saints. It's not a coincidence. Let's get verse 39.
39. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them.
Let's get 41.
41. Thou shalt begot sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
So we know how they went into captivity under Spaniards. But there's another way they're going into captivity as well.
Prison?
Exactly. Can't enjoy them. Why? Because they go to school. When you go to school, you know, you're around other people. If it's not your cousins aren't already teaching you about the gang life, and then you get led astray in that manner. And before you even adult, you're already getting locked up, getting sent to group homes. Mom has to come visit you. Captivity. We're gonna read about that too in Jeremiah, or actually in Isaiah. But we're gonna go ahead and finish this off. Let's get let's see here. Where are we at? We are in
41. We just finished 41.
All right, it's 43.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
So that's what the Spaniards did, particularly to the tribe of Issachar. Go ahead, verse 44.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Same thing. Who do you think owns all the Mexican banks? Not only that, but Edom. There's still Edom, whether British or Spaniard. And so when we come here, who do we got to go to get money? To get a loan so we can get a car. Or maybe you got to go get a payday loan to pay your bills because you're barely making it. Let's get verse 45.
45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
And we are destroyed as a people. Go ahead,
because thou hearkened not unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command thee.
Now we're going to see what these curses are. These curses are the sign, not melanin. Let's get it out. Verse 46.
46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign, for a wonder.
Does it say melanin, skin tone, or these curses?
And upon thy seed forever.
Crystal clear. We're still dealing with it today. Now we're going to go to Lamentations chapter 5, verses 2 through 8.
Well, we know it's not going to be melanin because Ephraim, considering it's going to be a cake on time.
Yeah, we know. Let's get Lamentations. It's, I believe, right after Jeremiah. Brothers and sisters, you know, I'll praise the Most High. We had the time to get this together and present this to y'all. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to deny their own brothers being Israel. Like I mentioned earlier, all brothers, man, from whatever tribe you come from. Lamentations 5 and 2. Take it upon yourself to go and study your tribe so that you can present this information. So when someone comes to you and says, "Oh, you know, you're not an Israelite," you know what? According to these curses, according to these things happen at the hand of my oppressors, I can show you I'm an Israelite. And at that point, they can take it or they can leave it. But you know within yourself, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know who you are. And let's get Lamentations 5 and 2.
Lamentations 5 and 2. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens.
So we understand and know we would have inherited this land. Our forefathers would have passed it down unto us, and we would have kept it. But it's turned unto strangers, and our houses unto aliens. Go ahead on. Verse 3.
We're orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows.
And that's the sad thing, man. The majority of our people, Judah a lot, but Issachar too, they're fatherless. Father's not in the picture. Father doesn't care. Father was murdered by the police. Father's locked up in prison. That's something that we face. Let's get on verse 4.
We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us.
So the land here in the Americas, all the water and whatnot that we shouldn't have to pay to drink, we have to pay for it. Go ahead, let's get 5.
5. Our necks are under persecution.
Under persecution, we all know that one.
We labor and have no rest.
And
we have given the land to the Egyptians.
No, we're good.
Oh.
So we labor and have no rest. We're one of the most hard-working people. Sometimes working 2, 3 jobs to send money back to the family in Mexico, or just to sustain everything, so that the wife can stay home and raise the children properly. That's what our people do. Let's get verse 8.
Verse 8. Servants have ruled over us.
So we know the other nations are here to serve us. That's why it says in Lamentations, servants are ruling over us at this very moment. That's why there's no order in the earth. Everything's out of order, because they're supposed to serve us. And if everything's out of order, we're not there for them to serve, to see the example. We're not that light to the Gentiles, so they don't know what to do. So therefore, they're in the hands of the wicked, like the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. That's why everything's out of order. And now they rule over us and pass these laws that are abominations. Let's get the rest of that.
What was that at?
There is none. Right here. Right there.
There is none that doeth deliver us out of their hand.
Crystal clear. So now let's get John 10 and 10.
John chapter 10 verse 10.
Actually, slack you real quick. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28, and let's get verse 28 and 48. Slack you. Right there. Bam.
Deuteronomy 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
So we know we're hungry. Who do we have to go to get food? We're thirsty. Who do we have to go to get water? Who do we have to go to get clothes? We are in want of all things. We must go to our enemy, whom we have to serve. Let's get verse 49 on.
49. And the Most High shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
So when them Edomite Spaniards came over here, it seemed as if they came from the other side of the earth. And you know, we know the symbol of the Spaniards and of all the European nations is the eagle.
Edom.
And we didn't understand their tongue. And let's see what else. Verse 50.
50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young.
So they killed off all the elders so that they couldn't continue the customs and traditions. And as we just read in the American Holocaust, they fed the babies to their dogs. They didn't care about who they killed. They just killed them. You know what? These ones are young enough to go and work, be our slaves. We're gonna let them live. Let's get verse 51.
51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee neither corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
Let's get verse 52.
And he shall besiege thee and all thy gates until thy high and fierce walls come down, wherein thou thrustest throughout all the land. Trusted throughout all the land. And he shall besiege thee and all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Most High thy power hath given thee.
So, why did this happen? Let's get verse 48 or verse 47.
Because thou servest not the Most High thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
The Most High, he gave us everything, and we chose to go off and not serve him and be joyful for every blessing he's given us. That is why all these curses happen. Now we're going to go to St. John chapter 10 and verse 10.
St. John chapter 10 verse 10. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I come that thou might have life, and that thou might have it more abundantly.
So we understand what it says about the thief. We understand what happened to us. And now Yashaya is waking us up. And he's now giving us an opportunity to have life and have it more abundantly, eternally.
I just like the way that's worded. I am come.
Mm-hmm. Now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 42, and we're going to get verse 22. And we're going to read about one of the conditions that our people face. It's not a coincidence that the scriptures prophesied of these things happening.
Isaiah 42 and
22.
Isaiah 42 and 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled.
We were robbed and we were spoiled.
They are all of them snared in holes,
Mm-hmm.
and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey.
So how you catch your prey? You set up a trap. So it's no coincidence they call the ghettos, or as we call them, the barrios, they call it the trap. It's set up that way so that you can be ensnared and trapped and now have to deal with the judicial system and be imprisoned. It's not a coincidence. Go ahead on.
And none delivereth for a spoil, and none saith restore.
Man, there'll be brothers will be in there almost, dealing with death penalty, or they'll be in there years, and then they'll, be like 50, 60 years old, and we came with some evidence, and we found out you didn't commit this crime. 30, 40 years of your life is gone. None says restore. Sometimes they don't even care. They just leave them in there anyways. We need to lock somebody up. A white person was killed here. Let's get a colored person that we can put in prison for this, so that the people will be okay. It'll make it look like we're doing our job. Let's get verse 23.
Verse 23. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come?
So who among us? Not all of us. Some of our people, they don't want to hear this. They'd rather worship Caesar Borgia. Get verse 24 out.
Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers?
For the brothers out there that are hateful, y'all are hating the other nations. We're going to see why were we given? Why were we given over? Who gave us for a spoil? Why were the other nations allowed to rob us? Go ahead out.
Did not the Most High?
Not the Most High. So quit hating the other nations. We know that they were the whipping stick used, but quit hating the other nations, because ultimately our disobedience, the Most High said, you know what? You don't want to serve me in joyfulness for the abundance of all things? Go ahead. Spoiled children. Go ahead out.
He against whom we have sinned. For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient to his law.
Crystal clear. Now, just understand and know, with this prison system, how they benefit so much. They make money off the prison industry. They got to hire the construction workers to build these prisons. Who's working in the construction industry? Issachar, primarily. Then they got to hire the officers. You know, they got all these commissary items that are overpriced. You know, they got all the prison uniforms, and all these prisons are private owned. They make so much money because they set up that trap. It's ridiculous. You got Michael Jordan investing money in the prison industry. People out here selling dope to buy his shoes. Get caught for that, and now he makes more money off of them in the prison industry. Let's get the Apocrypha, and let me see here. Where's it at? I just saw it. Let's get Baruch 3 and 8. And all praise to the Most High for the brothers and sisters that are sticking with us. You know, we probably hit the 2-hour mark already. Just got a few more things to go through, and then you know, we'll be done, and we'll bid you a higher speed.
What was it? 3?
Baruch 3 and 8.
And 8. Behold, Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
Still in our captivity today. And now we have an understanding on how we got there. Go ahead on.
Where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Most High our power.
So this day we are paying for what our forefathers have done in these conditions. But all praise to the Most High, he's waking us up. He's restoring unto us what was prophesied. Matter of fact, we're gonna pull this scripture up here real quick. Should have had it down in my notes, but you know what? Let's get Jeremiah 17 and 4. We're done with the Apocrypha too.
Jeremiah 17 and 4. Jeremiah 17:4. And though even thyself shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee.
The Most High, He discontinued us from the heritage He gave us. He gave us the heritage of being the tribe of Issachar. He gave us the heritage of being the nation of Israel. And we discontinued from that heritage. The only heritage that we have as Mexicans today is the Aztec culture, the Maya culture, the Mexicano, and all the various tribes, all the various Nahua peoples. That's the heritage that we remember now, because we were discontinued from the heritage that the Father had given us. Go ahead, Op.
And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So we came to a land that we didn't know. We read about that in 2nd Esdras. And now we're serving our enemies here. So with that, we let me see if we got anything else to go through. Yeah, let's go to Hosea chapter 4 and verse 1. Let's see here.
Hosea 4 and what?
4 and 1.
Hosea 4 and 1. Hear the word of the Most High, ye children of Israel. For AHAYAH had a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of AHAYAH in the land.
So we have no knowledge of the Most High in that land. There is no truth. Let's get I'll read Psalms 119, 142. Hold your spot there, brother. This is Psalms 119 and 142. It says, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. The Most High's law is not here anymore. We got to come back to it and relearn. Let's get the rest of Hosea. Verse 2.
By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, thy break out and blood toucheth blood.
So we swear an oath we're going to be part of this organization, part of this gang. We lie to one another, we kill one another, we steal from each other, we commit adultery amongst each other, and blood toucheth blood. It's not too hard to put these pieces together. Let's get verse 6. We all know this verse here.
Verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
So we've been rejected because we rejected the knowledge. Go ahead, on.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
And we're not a priest anymore, because we're supposed to be the priests of the earth. Go ahead, on.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children.
So the Most High, you know what? I'm going to cut these people off. Their children aren't going to know who they are. If they really want to seek me, they'll find me. And he left a way for us all to get this information. Why? Because almost everywhere we go, there's a Bible there. We hit juvenile hall, there's a Bible there. Whatever, there's Bibles everywhere. You go to the motel because you want to rent it out for the night and get high in it. Guess what? There's a Gideon's King James Bible in there. Our grandparents had Bibles. This word has been preserved, and if we understood and knew that we'd seek him, eventually, wholeheartedly seeking him, he would lead us to this truth, as he has for some of us today. Let's get verse 7 on.
Verse 7. As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame.
And our glory has been turned to shame. Now let's go to Hosea chapter 1. And let's get so we know Hosea, well, we're not going to even get into that today. Let's get verse 10.
Hosea chapter 1 verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass. It shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power.
So here we are in this land where they say we are nothing, we are nobody. They give us proverbs and bywords. It is here that we're waking up and realizing that we are the sons of the living power of the Most High AHAYAH. And eventually, this is what's going to happen. Verse 11. Let's get it out.
Verse 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together.
Gathered together.
And appoint themselves one head. And they shall come up out of the land. For great shall be the day of Jezreel.
Alright, so let's see here. Sure we covered everything here. I'm going to share this here with you, brothers and sisters. This is from a book called Archaic Migrations to North America by Robert Morit. And he's a professor at University of California, Riverside. It reads, when the Spaniards came to Mexico and were standing guard on cold nights, they began to wonder who these Indians really were. Some of those soldiers, Bernal Diaz among them, advanced the idea that these Indians might be Jews. Furthermore, several of the Spaniards came up with an odd fact to support this theory. Indian priests in Zempoala had shown them how the obsidian knives, the sacrificial knives, were also used for circumcision, which was known to be a Jewish rite. Ergo, these Indians might be Jews. The Nawa language itself has been shown to have many Hebraic Semitic roots and can be traced to northwest Palestine, where parts of the Israelite tribe of Issachar settled. So, let's see here. And with that, brothers and sisters, I believe this will conclude our lesson. I believe we touched everything on here. I'm just going to do a double check. Kind of went out of order of how I had it ordered, but all praise to the Most High for giving us this knowledge and understanding. So I'm gonna leave everybody with the remembrance of some of these images. Here we go. This Quetzalcoatl pierced on the side. Brothers and sisters out there. We went through the parallels, how he parallels Yashaya.
Here's something else. They knew about Christ, even though they called him Quetzalcoatl, who we call Christ ignorantly. They knew about him and had been gone out of the land before he was even born. But they knew of the prophecy. They knew what was to come. They knew of the Savior. They knew not a bone in his body would be broken and he would be pierced and bleed water and blood. They knew this.
So, the brothers and sisters out there, reminder. See that color of those brothers right there? That's the color, the original color of our people. Some of my relatives have been blessed to retain that same skin tone.
That's why when you go to Mexico, you find some brothers deep down in there look like me. Like, man, bruh, you've been in the sun quite some time.
And not only that, let's keep this in mind also. We know that more Judites through the transatlantic slave system went to South America and Mexico. So for those that want to pose this, well, it's only Afro-Mexicans, Afro-Cubans, Afro-Puerto Ricans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro this, Afro that. We know that Judah was sent into these areas as well. because all the information we went through was prior to the transatlantic slave trade. So we know that they were brought. So not only that, but some of these brothers, some of these Issachar brothers, in fact, might be Judah. So keep that in mind, man. Don't deny your brother just based off appearance. And with that, brothers and sisters, we like to say Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
All praise to the Most High AHAYAH, Ba'ashim Yashaya, for giving us this information to present to y'all. And we normally don't do lessons on tribes and whatnot. We like to keep the emphasis on keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and enduring through all our trials and tribulations, because we know that the kingdoms and having the faith in Yashaya is what's going to get us through. But every now and then, we got to go back into these books and bring out this information to show beyond a shadow of a doubt just who we are for the brothers and sisters that want to deny us with the 12 tribes all Negro doctrine. We know all 12 tribes originally started off black. So with that being said, all praise to the Most High, Ba'ashim Yashaya, RaWach, for this blessed and beautiful Shabbat.
All praises.
And once again, Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Issachar.
You just hit me with that, Kwam Yah. Man, that's a lot to say.
Rise Issachar.
Rise Issachar.
Because we coming. And with that, we'd like to bid you a higher speed. And next week, Most High willing, we'll have something for you. We took last week off. And we might do that every now and then, but it's not going to be too often. So with that, I'd like to bid y'all a higher speed and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.